Hello guys, it's Teenage DC Fan back in another video, and in this episode of Legends of Tomorrow we got Damien Darhk, puppets, and a surprise wedding in Mr. Parker's cul-de-sac. So for a show that usually features plenty of weird stuff, DC's Legends of Tomorrow tossed the kitchen sink in with aplomb this time, and it made for one of the show's weirdest and most entertaining episodes to date. So just a quick warning, this video will contain spoilers for Mr. Parker's Cul-de-sac, the latest episode of DC's Legends of Tomorrow, which aired Tuesday, March 10th, 2020. So we all know Ray and Nora, aka real-life married couple Brandon Routh and Courtney Ford, will be leaving the series actually next episode, so these are our last two episodes with these characters, and you can definitely tell that they're trying to end the stories and these character arcs here. So Ray had been working up the nerve to propose to Nora, and this week he does just that, but not before her former big bad father, Damien Darhk, decides to show up as the latest evil encore, released from hell by Astra. This being Legends, though, Darhk's return is handled in a bit, shall we say, sillier take than his original Arrowverse turn on Arrow, or even his stint as a co-baddie in past Legends seasons. So Damien is aware he's been gone for 2 years, but instead of doing Astra's bidding to go cause evil shenanigans, he decides to check in on his dear daughter, or as he likes to say, Nora doll. And she's since given up evil and become a fairy godmother. She's in love with Goody Ray, and some of her best friends are the Legends crew who once battled her evil father. So when her dad shows up at the door, she decides to lie, and opposed to coming clean about her new life. And the results are positively hilarious. As more members of the Legends crew pop in, she has to start adding layers to her ruse, like Sarah and Ava. Yeah, they're her henchwomen. Constantine, her lover. I mean, you get the idea. And Damien's father-in-law admiration for Constantine is pure gold, but it all falls apart when Ray's botched proposal ends with Constantine proposing to try and keep up the lie. Nora finally comes clean and tells her father she's in love with Ray. So, of course, Damien immediately tries to kill Ray and the rest of the Legends for corrupting her daughter, and we get some good magical fight action and a quick reminder that, yes, Damien is still one of the more powerful baddies to grace the Rogues Gallery. But thanks to a well-placed fireball from Constantine, which only draws more admiration from Damien, Nora gets through to him and finally realizes that though it's not the life he would have picked for her, Nora really is happy now. So Nora and Ray decide to get married right then and there, with the Legends partying it up with Damien himself at the reception. And it's such a strange thing to see these characters being brought together, but it really speaks to the found family concept that is the heart of this show, and especially in this episode, because every storyline that we had in this episode was about family. And Nora is a friend of the Legends, and despite Damien's awfulness, her father is still Damien Darhk, but they respect that. Even Sarah gets a brief moment with Damien, who truly seems changed after seeing the new life his daughter has found. And there's nothing he can say after seeing the new life. There's nothing he can say to apologize for killing Sarah's sister. But he genuinely does seem remorseful for the pain he caused her. More than that, he's found some peace in seeing his daughter one last time, and knowing she's happy with friends who love and care about her. So he takes the hell sword Sarah had swiped to take out future evil encores, and slips outside and then uses it on himself. So he might be evil, but nothing is more important than family. Damien's journey is now finished, so he takes control of his own fate and heads back to hell on his own accord. And So I think this may actually be the last time we ever see Damien Darhk in the Arrowverse. Like, yes, he's died, like, many times before, like, probably at least 3 different times he's died and come back. But I think this is probably the final time. And it was a really good way to close out the character's story, especially with his daughter. But before he goes, actually, he has a heart-to-heart with Ray, telling him that Nora will need support in their life together. And that means more support than he can provide flying around full-time, not the wave rider. So yes, this marriage certainly seems to be setting up their exit as full-time members of the crew. Though, like pretty much everyone else on the show, it stands to reason the door will be left open for some future cameos. But Ray is one of the few original legends left on the roster, and his exit will certainly be felt. And in this episode, there were actually some things that made it seem like all 3 of the remaining original members were leaving. But, I mean, obviously they're not. At least I hope not. But, I mean, there were moments that you were kind of like, are they leaving? But with Ray, at least it seems like they're going to try to give the hero a fitting send-off with a new life to start. Now, of course, this being the weirdest show on TV, they had to find a creative way to hash out their emotions. So, enter Mr. Parker's cul-de-sac. The Mr. Rogers neighborhood spoof starts off as a show. Ray shows Nora's godmother, child, I guess you could say, to keep her out of the way. But things go haywire when the girl wishes the fighting heroes and Damien into the TV show itself, and so that's where they work out their issues. And it's a horrifyingly funny situation, as you'd imagine. Ray is the squeaky clean host, of course, as he is Mr. Parker, starring in Mr. Parker's cul-de-sac. And then, of course, with Nora and Damien, then you also have Constantine and Charlie, who are still feuding over the Loom of Fate. And they're all there to set to hash out their differences. Gary is turned into the laugh out loud train named Gary the Unspeakable Train Abomination. Fresh off being tied to a train track by Damien after he was set free from hell. And Nate is the smiling face of the sun. Also, Sarah and Ava are puppets, showing how we're all supposed to communicate our feelings. So yes, the puppets make a return. Constantine and Charlie also come to an agreement. Constantine gives her his word that if they can find the Loom of Fate and fix Astra's life, he'll help her destroy it for good before they're tempted to rewrite even more fates. So they have a deal, so the search for the Loom can kick off in earnest. Zari is also still around, though still without her full memories from before the timeline changed, and she spends the episode helping out Mick, who is dealing with an online troll cracking on his romance book series written by the famous Rebecca Silver, which is technically Mona now. So, I don't know. But it turns out this troll that has been saying bad stuff about his books is actually the daughter of Allie, who we saw a couple episodes ago in the episode with Freddie Myers, with the prom night slasher and that stuff, where Mick hooked up with his high school girlfriend at the reunion. And now it turns out that when he hooked up with her, he got her pregnant. So now Mick Rory, Heatwave, has an 18-year-old daughter. And he never knew he had her. Because, well, to him, he just hooked up with her like 2 weeks ago. Except to them, it was actually like 18 years ago. Actually, probably closer to 19, but... So, Mick, when he finds out about this, like, he has a short conversation with them, and obviously his daughter hates him because he hasn't been in her life at all. So then Mick just gets pissed off, so then he just ends up erasing their memories because, yeah, that's Mick. So I don't know if we'll see those characters return at any point, but now we do know that Mick has a daughter. That's pretty crazy. They don't remember it now, but he has a daughter. Also, old Arrow hero Wild Dog is trying to get in touch with Sarah about a job offer in Star City. Now, what is it exactly? The city's new hero now that Oliver's gone? Or like an actual normal job? Could Ray possibly take it, setting up his exit back to the city where his story began? I mean, it stands to reason that tidbit could resurface soon. And then plus, if he goes back to Star City, then maybe we could see him appear in other shows. Like, if Green Arrow and the Canaries gets picked up for series, which it hasn't yet. It hasn't been canceled or picked up for series yet. Maybe we could see him on there. I mean, that does take place in the future, but we could still see him there. But anyway, next week, as I mentioned, is the very last episode where we will be seeing Ray Palmer and Nora Dhark on this show. And the episode title says it all, though. Romeo v. Juliet, Dawn of Justice. So it seems they're mashing up Batman v Superman, Dawn of Justice with Romeo and Juliet, which I'm actually reading in my English class right now in school. So that's a nice connection there. So it seems in this episode, instead of writing his classics, Shakespeare starts writing superhero stories. So, like I mentioned, this looks to be the episode where Ray and Nora say goodbye. So, probably gonna cry in this episode. I mean, like, me, personally, it's not like I'm gonna full-on cry. Like, my eyes might get a little watery. It depends on how emotional this episode is. But, you know, Ray's been there since the beginning. He was in the Arrowverse before this show even started. Because he was on Arrow. One thing I'd like to see in this episode, this final episode with Ray, is I'd like to see him actually use his suit. Because lately on Legends, he barely uses his suit. Like, at all. He barely uses it. So, yeah, I'd just like to see him use his suit more. And, yeah. So, I'm excited for next week's episode, but at the same time not. Because I don't want to see Ray and Nora leave. You know, I was just starting to get used to having Nora on the show. And I like her character now. But this is the end. So, anyway, let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. How do you hope Ray and Nora's storyline will be wrapped up in this final episode? Thanks so much for watching. Please remember to like, comment, and subscribe. And hope to see you in the next video. So I bestow all my DC knowledge upon you.